All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition. Merely Bo, the Great Z, a Chamber of Commerce. This is the best Ohio can do 2-week stretch, and today is as good as it gets. What are you looking for? You need that guy?
No, my earbuds are good.
How does this happen?
I don't understand.
How do earbuds just fall off of earbud sets?
I don't know.
Oh, here. What about this?
No, that's the old one. But this one,
can this one be thrown? Can we say that that's done?
Yeah. It's just the tip that actually goes in my ear, so I'm not sticking hard plastic in my ear.
Just the tip. It's all you're missing.
Yep. Safety first.
Safety first.
Where is it, Gibby?
Nobody knows.
You designed the studio.
You did 2 more shows in there after yesterday's, so I can't help you.
Whoever did the mug of him when we found out that Todd had been fired, I want that one on a mug right there.
But Gibby, when I did those 2 shows yesterday, they were still intact.
Where did you sit for the 2 shows?
Right here.
I don't know.
Nathan, I have no idea, man.
Nathan.
I've been on the east side all morning.
Nathan, why?
I was testing in preparation. We're on a remote next Tuesday.
Who is?
You guys.
Black Forest, baby.
Black Forest.
It's going to be great.
Bar, restaurant.
Oh, it'll be exciting.
Awesome patio.
That's next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday with Cross Country Mortgage.
Very exciting. That was fun. That's fun. That's very good
bar
job.
owner's great. He's got a putt-putt course in the basement.
Oh, that's exciting. How about the foliage on the east side? You like that? Little foliage?
There was a lot of
foliage. A little bit of up and down elevations. It's beautiful, right?
It was about 10 minutes away from where my father grew up. And my
Wait a second.
Yeah. That's right.
Your blood boils east?
That's right.
What?
So why are you full of so much hate?
That's right.
Why is this just now becoming to my attention? What are you talking about?
I thought about it today on the car ride. I was like,
sure?
do I just spring this on them? Because I don't think they know this.
No, I don't know that.
My dad and my uncle went to Shaw High School.
In the last month, we have found out that you are, in fact, East Side
You're an East Sider.
lineage.
East Side stock.
East Side stock, which explains why you're so sturdy, and that you love Pittsburgh. Both of these things in the last month.
I don't think that
incredible.
second one is correct.
You love the nachos.
They do have a good nacho.
You love Pittsburgh.
Big Pittsburgh guy, Gibby.
You're pumped about Russell Wilson.
Hey, I have a question for you two before we do the football. Have either of you ever seen a greyhound in person, like a domesticated greyhound?
Yeah.
Like someone who has one as a pet?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yes.
Recently?
No.
When I was in high school, I used to mow the lawn for one of our family friends, and she had rescue greyhounds.
Okay. Yeah. So
they are lean and they are long. This is a lady who put one of them when the male greyhound got snipped, who put like silicone replacement parts.
Make him feel better about himself?
Yeah.
That all of his business was still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I had seen them when I was in the South. They still had dog tracks. I don't think it's legal anymore, but they used to.
Yeah.
And the operation that sponsored my sportscast in Tallahassee, Florida, was the Jefferson County Kennel Club. And we would go out to the J.C. Casey in Monticello, Florida, and when I tell you it was a walk back in time, I'm telling you it was a walk back in time. It was 1954 in there, in every way that you can imagine in the Deep South.
Yep.
And we would see, and I'd never seen it. I didn't grow up with it, never seen it. I was always enamored with them as a kid, just thinking like, good Lord, look at all the coordination of this.
Look at that.
All of it.
Is that all?
So,
Jeez Louise, you have a license?
The first time I saw them was, and they if you've never seen one go, they go. It's crazy in person to watch them run. It doesn't really make sense. I'm dropping NBC off at school this morning.
Okay.
And I'm 2 blocks from school, and I see a guy with a greyhound, and the thing's huge. It's like halfway up, probably mid-thigh. The guy's an average-sized guy. So that caught my attention.
Yeah, they're big.
Then he took it off the leash, and the thing took off like a bat out of hell down the street. You couldn't even see it. It was so damn fast. Hurdled what I assume was its fence.
Hopefully.
Well, the guy was. It seemed like it was very much part of the routine.
Yep.
It was the damnedest thing I've seen, and it's the first one I've ever seen one like in the wild domesticated. And it looked like an alien.
Yeah, they are wild.
It's crazy.
Like, I know
took
for
him
a
off.
If you want to adopt one,
they're quite fast.
there is a whole process. Like there's a group of that like adopts greyhounds. Like they have to do a home visit. You have to have X amount of space in your backyard. You have to be physically fit.
Yes.
Like you have to be someone that can handle said greyhound.
I just thought, like, who decided to, like, where's this breed come from? How do you get something to look like that? Man, they flew. It flew.
Because they are running. They are
Man,
lead.
do they go.
Yeah, they go.
It was something. It was a scene. It was almost like an alien.
You know, I have a relative. You brought up the dog racing. I had a relative who passed due to dog racing.
Due to dog racing or?
No, that's right.
Elaborate. Due to dog racing.
Unpaid?
So I guess he worked at the track.
Uh-oh.
This is on my dad's side.
Of course.
And,
Nefariousness sometimes.
I don't know how many people. I've never been to a dog race because, as you said, I think they've gone the way of the dinosaur, and
they're gone
for
now.
good reason.
Yeah.
But in the olden days, the ways that they got the dogs to run was on the inside rail was a metal bunny that was on a track
for sure.
that went. Well, this bunny, think about greyhounds are very fast. Mm-hmm. So this metal bunny is quite fast.
Yep.
And I guess he was working on the rail or something like that, and the metal bunny came right into his
Oh, come on.
dome like a horror movie.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, 106. The next level's next. I don't
I've
think
done
we
our
can get
work.
any
We're
closer
getting
here,
about
kids.
as bad as you can go.
It's a pretty crazy story. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in the Zagura family lore for sure. Yeah, that was a
5
wild
states in the United States you can still race dogs. Alabama, Arkansas, Texas, West Virginia, and Iowa.
Not in Florida. I'm surprised.
No,
No, Florida
Florida's not.
allows everything.
Florida used to have all of them, but
Yeah.
that's where I saw it was in Florida.
Yeah.
Florida's got
Same.
highlight though.
They do have highlight.
They have
Yeah.
highlight.
There you go.
Hey, there's the
is.
newest member of the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if it's
Iowa?
official, but there are reports that Bailey Zappi is here.
I think we can say it's
And I believe Bailey Zappi 1-0 in Huntington Bank Field.
that was Beamsy's birthday game 2 years
Oh.
ago. I said, look, we're not. It's Bailey Zappi, Beam. We're going to get a win. Like, you're safe.
Myles Garrett did break the sack record.
He did.
The franchise sack record.
The start of that was fine, but yes, it was. That
one
was
positive.
that was the one.
Ooh,
was
that was a tough one.
well, we're going to win this one, bud.
Not
Nope,
not the case.
not.
By the way, last night I just have to give a quick little shout. So I watched 0 seconds of the Chargers and the Cardinals.
No, me either. Ridiculous.
Literally 0.
Yeah.
I did watch what was a very entertaining Ravens-Bucks game, and I had the pleasure of doing so last night with George Mazanin.
Oh,
And I was at
now you guys would have been a great Manning cast.
no.
Opposite them on, and then them trying to corral you
It's
two.
so much better than that. Was with George was with Harry from Harry Steakhouse. We were at Harry Steakhouse.
Okay.
And Harry was
Harry
with
was
us.
there. Yeah.
And then Dave from Primetime Delivery and Warehouse was there. And it is a cast of characters.
That
Like,
is a crew.
That's a
you
crew.
know George is a character. I mean, it is. I had so much fun. Guy Mike was there. Jeff. It was a great crew. Had dinner, and then came out, and he's got this on the front kind of porch, basically, or patio of Harry Steakhouse. He has it set up so there are 4 to 6 lazy boys, and then like leather sofas.
Okay.
And then he's got TVs and heaters and everything. And we just sat out there, and I came home smelling like a cigar because I had one. And Miss Kay was not pleased, but sat there and watched the game. What was funny to me about this game was that obviously it was 10-0, and then the Ravens ran off, I think, 34 straight points.
34-10.
Yeah, they ran off.
And I said, I'm going to go to bed.
They ran off 34 straight.
Mm-hmm.
When it was 10-0, my phone would not stop buzzing to the point where, like, George and Harry and Dave were, what's the deal? Like,
Yeah. What's going on?
and I'm pretty sure if I gave you one guess, you would guess exactly what all these texts were saying from 50 different people when it was 10-0 Buccaneers.
Buccaneers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
My phone stopped buzzing once we threw
Stopped.
an interception in the end zone, and
Yep.
then another interception.
Yeah.
And then I was phone very
Waiting
silent.
for more texts. Yeah.
Very silent phone
Yeah.
at that point. And then the Ravens are tough, dude. Lamar is good. He and Derrick Henry was bottled up the whole game, but then they just wear you down, and then they are tough.
I'm going to
with
tell
the
you
lead.
that I feel strong enough in most of the takes that we make, and I think we had a good week on the scores.
You did.
that but I was pretty wrong about Derrick Henry.
I was wrong about. I was too. I'll admit it as well.
I thought that the wear and the tear and how much could he possibly have left in the tank. And the reality is what you just said is what they can now do. They beat you with the two of them physically. You have two guys you got to worry about, and I didn't think he still had that gear. I didn't think he could still run away from people at this point in his career the way that he can. And so, yeah, for a lot of the game, it might be 10 carries for 42 yards, but then it's 1 for 76.
Yeah.
And you go, what happened? And then because of that, they can have Bateman, who's coming along now. They were patient with him. They didn't bail,
Andrews
and he's
is
coming
finally
along.
back.
Andrews is back. And now you have these two home
And
run
Zay
hitters
Flowers.
you got to deal with in the backfield, and now you can get deep behind it. And
Their defense is not good.
It's not, but quite honestly, it doesn't
matter.
need to be. I think that they can score with anybody, and if they're ahead, as you just articulated, it's just damn tough.
It's impossible
to track them down. And I did not have him having this impact. I didn't. I thought,
listen, you can take a victory lap. You're the only one that even had them going to the playoffs in our preseason thing. That was more just wishful thinking, I think.
Me wishing they would be in the playoffs?
No,
or
you have
wishing?
them in as a wild card.
Yeah.
Gibbe and I didn't have them in.
This is Derrick Henry, kids. 873 in 7 games, 6.5 a carry, 8 touchdowns.
Yep.
And by the way, if you're looking for somebody to blame, and I am, hey, Jera, why the hell didn't you sign him?
Oh, he doubled down today.
Jera, what are you doing? You don't have a run game. You have Dak. You have CD. It's Dallas. It's the Cowboys. They were the perfect team to sign him. What are you doing?
He doubled down on it today.
What did he say? I didn't see it.
Just that was the right decision. He wouldn't be as we don't run that offense. He wouldn't be as good here.
Oh my God,
Jera.
What are they paying Derrick Henry?
Great Bernard
$8?
Kozar, by the way, has weighed in. He said, "Oh my goodness, that story about the dog track." Yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah,
all of a sudden he's in South Florida. They had the dog tracks there. He lived that world. Not saying he was in that world, but he was certainly.
Yeah, supposedly he was like
2 years, $16 million is the.
That's only. By the way, they got him for 2 years for only $1 million more than they gave Odell Beckham last year. Feels like that's a better money spent.
Yeah. There you go.
So through 7 games,
it's a game changer for them, though.
Through 7 games, Derrick Henry has rushed for 873 yards. That is the second most in NFL history for a player in his 30s. Can you name who had more rushing yards through 8 games in their 30s?
Adrian Peterson?
No.
Barry Sanders?
He was 5th, 765 in 1998.
Peterson was?
No,
Barry. Adrian
Peterson's best year in his 30s through 7 games was 2015. He ran for 633.
Give me a hint. One hint.
I feel
or is
like
it too demand? It's once you give the hint, it's a gimme.
It's the team of your youth.
Walt
Sweetness in 1984 ran for 875 yards through 7 games.
Wow.
Priest Holmes in 2004 through 7 games had 833 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns.
I remember that.
Yeah, he was unreal.
He had that little window, and you won fantasy leagues with him
For
because every
3 years. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I think
he should be in the Hall of Fame.
How long is it?
I'll pull it up right now. I believe it's 3 years, but it was the 3 most. It was
he was right there
on a level,
and there was LaDainian was there at that time.
Priest Holmes was in the league from 97 to 2007, 3-time Pro Bowler. He was 3 years in a row first-team All-Pro, 3 years in a row top 5 in MVP voting.
Yeah.
In those 3 years, the first one of them, he led the league in rushing, 1,555 yards, led the league with 2,170 total yards, 10 touchdowns. The next year, he produces 2,300 total yards and 24 touchdowns. The year after that, he produces 2,100 yards and 27 count them, rushing touchdowns, 27 rushing touchdowns. Then the next year, you're like, oh, he falls off. in 8 games, he gets hurt. You know what his 8-game totals were? In 8 games, 1,100 total yards and 15 touchdowns. So we're talking 3.5 years of just absolute excellence. And if you were to put together his remaining basically 16 games from that 8 and then the following, it's basically 2,000 total yards and 22 touchdowns. So he had, a 3.5 year period where he was the best player on the planet, period. You go 3 straight first-team All-Pros, 3 straight years in the top 5 in the MVP voting.
It's kind of like Terrell Davis. Like Terrell Davis's run was a little longer, and he has the 2 Super Bowls, which is probably the difference. But Priest's best was better.
So Terrell Davis,
he ran for 2,000 yards. Remember that?
Terrell Davis is also a 3-time All-Pro. Priest Holmes' 3 years are definitely better, and in fact, Priest Holmes' best year is better than Terrell Davis's best year when he won the MVP. But you're talking it. Terrell Davis's is a 3-year run, period.
It's the 2 Super Bowls that probably put him into the Hall.
And Priest Holmes' 3-year run's better. And Priest Holmes' next best season, the next best season for Terrell Davis was his rookie year, which was 1,480 total yards and 8 touchdowns in 14 games. Priest Holmes had 1,115 in 8 games.
In 8, yeah.
And Terrell Davis did that in 14. He's better.
He's better in that stretch. It's the Super Bowls that people. That's the deal. That's what separates. That was Trent Green, Dick Vermeil, Kansas City.
With Priest Holmes?
Yeah, it was.
That's outrageous.
That's
Priest
crazy.
Holmes is robbed.
Yeah, he was. He absolutely was.
Then he falls off of a cliff, Terrell Davis. He has 200 yards, 700 yards. That's it.
There's an injury or something there.
He plays 4 games, and 8 games.
That was it. Done. All right. In regard to a couple other things from last night, the NFL injury list is just ridiculous. The Godwin injury at the end is particularly gruesome. Evans went out, which I'm guessing also probably stopped your Texas coming to you because it got a lot more difficult after that point.
Yep.
Also, from the scores perspective, I go to bed at 34-10
Yep.
is a score, and it's done. I'm thinking, okay,
yeah,
scores,
it's an easy win.
Cover City were easy.
Yep.
And when you were making the scores yesterday, you said, it just feels like it's ripe for a backdoor late nonsense. And boy, was it. Twice inside across midfield, including on the one where Godwin gets hurt. A lot of criticism, like, what are you doing? The game is over. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's not over. They had their timeouts. You get a touchdown. All of a sudden you've got a 3-point game. You get an onside kick and you're back. Like, you have to keep trying.
Yeah.
And they did, which I think speaks to the Baltimore problem a little bit because they were up 2 scores in one of their losses to the Raiders and gave it all up and lost at home. So there is something in Baltimore in terms of their inability to just put it away defensively and get a stop.
And they lost Marlon Humphrey in this
did.
game. So, yeah, their defense is bad.
So
this is a game where I think Jameis might throw them the ball a few times, as we saw Baker do, but he's going to make some plays. Like you can make plays against this defense.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. For sure you can. But Tampa Bay is going to have a tough road to hoe. No Godwin now. He's done. And Evans goes out in this game. So now, like, who do you throw it to if you're Bake? And so much of it was built on those 2 receivers. They showed the graphic up of with Mike Evans and without, and he's a totally different quarterback.
Yep.
In the late game, it was the Cardinals and the Chargers. I didn't see any of this either. I lie. I did open the app because I just wanted to see what it looked like. I got up when I got done with the game. I watched one possession. I watched the Chargers kick a field goal, and then I watched Kyler's long run.
By the way, why are the Chargers kicking a field goal when they need to go get a touchdown? Harbaugh played that like
bozo.
Yeah. It honestly reminded me of, because I was following along on my phone, from a decision-making standpoint, it felt like he played that one, like, and this is going way back, and not meant to besmirch at all, but was more indicative of his conservative style, of like how Tressel used to coach at Ohio State.
Yeah, just get the points.
Get the points and let's play defense.
Well, that's who Harbaugh is. And in his heart of hearts, that's who he is.
You got it. Score. Yeah. When you kick 5 field goals, you're not going to win.
And you have Justin Herbert.
Unless you're the Steelers in week 1.
And he went 27 to 39 for 349.
That's the thing. He was shredding them. Let him throw.
Let him live.
Let him live.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't. And so I think that's a loss that will. By the way, the scores don't end well for you two. Is just put in here. I split. What are you talking about? Got one, lost one.
Yeah, at least
who's
call
coming
me
at
out.
us?
What I was saying is the
coming at
last
us?
score of the week was not so great.
Oh, the last score of the week.
Yeah. Okay.
Seems
I
like
didn't
what you're
phrase that
saying
well.
is-
That's my apology.
I mean, I'm just reading it.
No, I typed it.
The scores don't end well for you two.
Bo went 10-5 this week.
I split.
I went 7-8.
Yeah.
Bo was.
I'm just
Bo is,
what I was trying to convey
Bo is
was
back. When you think
the
about
Chargers
where he
by
was,
$1 billion 24
Did
hours
not work.
ago.
No, that
didn't
one didn't
age
work.
well.
That one
It
did
should
not
have
work.
been.
The other.
Yeah,
By
it
the way, you
should've
also
been.
had Jalen Reagor fumble into the end zone, out of bounds through the end zone from the 1 yard line for them.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, you went from. By the way, you were 8 games under 500 after week 5.
Yeah. Wasn't seeing it.
It's called a heat-up.
Then you were after week 4. I'm sorry. Then you were back to after week 6. You were back to week. Oh no, that's right. 8 now 4, and then you got after week 6. You're up to 2, and now you're 7 over.
Back living in the good life.
Yeah, we're 12 over.
4-year
combined.
colleges, kids.
After week
Back to 4 years.
After week 3, we were both combined 12 under, and now after week 7, we're a combined 12 over.
We're seeing it again, baby.
Stars.
We're seeing it. Back at it. You're welcome. We mentioned this because he walked by. Bailey Zappi to the active roster off of the Chiefs practice squad. So that will bolster the quarterback room with Deshaun Watson out. Do you read anything into the style of quarterback that Bailey Zappi is? Because I do.
I mean, he slung it a ton in college.
Yeah, all-timer.
All-timer. And is somebody that, it feels like, if you can give him one read, probably can be pretty good with it. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. I mean, we also know his stars shone very bright against the Cleveland Browns. Career, though, 63% completions, 11 touchdowns, 12 picks, and a rating of 78.5. Now, it was in 22 as a rookie, he was actually quite good. 23, he got 6 starts last year, 2-4, 59% completion, 6 touchdowns, 9 picks, 68 rating. He averaged 127 yards per game in his 6 starts.
So that game here, he went 24 of 34 for 309.
That's right.
2 touchdowns and a rating of 118.4. Ramondre had 76 and 2 scores in that game as well. That was Jacoby for us, had a couple of picks.
Yeah, he threw a pick to, I think, to Duggar on the first possession, opening possession of the game.
Yeah. Who was supposed to be the quarterback for them that year in 2022?
Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones had to have been hurt.
He was hurt? Yeah, that would have – oh, my gosh, that's right. I forgot they had Mac Jones. Yeah, Mac would have been there. Mac would have been – yeah, he would have been in his second year because he would have been
He was Pro Bowl rookie season.
Won the national title in 2000 at Bama, and then 21 was his rookie year, and then 22. So he probably got hurt somewhere along there, and it was the Bailey Zappi experience. And so Bailey's in the mix here on that side of things. Our team is off today, back in the building tomorrow to start preparation for the – It's even harder when you read it, when you just watch them play last night and how they looked. Like we got to deal with the Ravens now with all this, and you got Baltimore coming in here.
Yep.
Can I get
5
Roquan Smith
touchdowns.
suspended for the hip drop tackle? Probably not. They'll probably just fine him, slap him on the wrist. Don't
So
do it
that's in the
again.
Godwin.
The
play.
NFL is officially investigating.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Congratulations.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what this league wants defenders to do.
Correct.
You got to tackle people. I mean,
You have to tackle people. Like there was an awful one. Was it? Oh, it was an R game. Was it our game? Was it Hendrickson?
no,
That
you're talking about the bad roughing the passer?
Yeah.
It was the Jets game.
Jets.
And
It was
even
in
Aaron
prime
Rodgers
time.
was like, dude, that's a tough call, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Jeez."
That's a tough call, bro.
Yeah. No, we thought that they were going to get Trey
And
Hendrickson.
they
for
did not.
one.
It was
They did
2
not.
penalties on us.
2 on us instead.
What a turn of
Hendrickson
events.
thinks it's on him. He's like, "Oh, come on!" Flag goes right by him, and we're like, "Well, one of those has got to be. It's got to be on them." Nope, not 2 on us. There you go.
I mean, it's wild to me that this game, when you look at the calendar, you're like, this is gonna be a big game. Browns Ravens, coming off of what happened last time the Browns faced the Ravens, and Deshaun leads the comeback, and then he's lost for the year, and this will be the first meeting. And now, I think, like as a Browns fan, what you're hoping is, is this a trap game for the Ravens? You know what I mean? Coming in as hot as they are.
Yeah.
Who do they have coming out? Let's see who they have on the other side. But they're very, very tough to deal with right now.
Baltimore goes us, and then they are Denver at home, Bengals at home, then at Pittsburgh, at Chargers.
Home Eagles.
Yeah, so they got us and the Broncos back to back. Surprising Broncos at 4-3. Good job out of Sean Payton. Got to give credit where it's due. And then that Bengals game, that's Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
Yeah, on the 7th. Right? Or is that Monday Night Football?
What's the date?
The 7th? November 7th?
What is that?
Because the 17th, 1 o'clock, they play the Steelers. That's 10 days later. Or is that Thursday?
Thursday.
That's a Thursday
That's
nighter?
a Thursday.
I mean, that's as good a Thursday nighter as you're going to get
That's
for
a
Alan
Thursday.
Kirk. Yeah.
Quick
That's pretty
trip
good.
for Kirk.
Yes. Just hop in the car.
Yeah.
Drive down the road.
By the way, I looked at kind of at ESPN. You know, they have the schedule for the upcoming week. Tons of 4 o'clock games, and none of them are good.
This week. I wonder what that would be. Why that would be. So this
Listen,
week,
here's
right.
at 4 o'clock because I do it on ESPN because they don't give me any lines. Saints at Chargers at 4:05. So that's 1. Buffalo at Seattle at 4:05 on Fox. To me, that's the best game. That's 2. This might be the best game. Chicago at Washington.
Yeah.
That's 3.
That actually got flexed.
Carolina.
Yeah.
That got flexed to what?
That is 425. That
They
is
pulled it down. That's your national game of the week.
Okay.
Dance Romo.
Yeah, they
Carolina
moved some
at
stuff
Denver
around.
is 4. That's also 425.
Bills,
And
Seahawks.
then Kansas City, Las Vegas is 425. So you have 5 4 o'clock games, 3 of them at
odd.
425. And Kansas City, Vegas, that's got to be a huge.
You try to have multiple 405s and multiple 425s in the event there's some kind of weather or a delay or something. The network still has a backup plan.
5 at 4 o'clock, though, is a large number.
It is a big number.
It's usually
Yeah, because there were only 3 this past week.
3 or 4.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, there were 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why are the Giants Pittsburgh on
We got
Monday?
Tom McCarthy this week.
Yeah, I've been texting
Feely,
with
Ross
Tommy Mack,
Tucker,
Tommy Mack.
McCarthy.
Get used to those. Probably is what those type of. At least
I like
Tommy's
that
got
crew.
familiarity.
I
Yeah,
like that
that's
crew
good.
over others.
Same. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coming up next, Z's final thoughts from the Bengals game. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, here are my friends at Jim Beam. What do sports and Jim Beam have in common? Both are better when enjoyed with others. So grab a bottle, gather with friends, and enjoy the game. Because with Jim Beam, you come as fans, and you leave as family. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2024, James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Drink smart. Time for the Microsoft Minute, powered by Microsoft Surface, powering a better game. Here is Dr. Z and his final thoughts.
All right. I know that it's a new, exciting segment here, the Microsoft Minute. So am I like still doing 3 things on offense and 3 things on defense, or is it a minute?
It could be a minute. I think last week was 5. You're good. You're safe. It's the Microsoft Minute.
I'm excited about that. Time's probably up.
No.
Time's probably up. It's been a minute.
I like how you just, that was great. I really enjoyed that.
I'm glad it tickled you.
I liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You ready? Some
I
thoughts. Your final thoughts. I think a minute is loosely.
2-minute drill is very strict.
Remember when Berman would do the 2-minute drill and it'd be like 6.5 minutes?
I've known to do that as well. When back in some of the glory days of the 2-minute drills live on the fields from training camps. Yeah. Oh, baby. Really spinning.
Time for the Schwam, and he would do, all of a sudden you'd get Dwight Clark. Him throwing a ball to Dwight Clark, and you'd get a little bit of Hotel California in there would show up randomly just because. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead. All right.
We'll start on the offensive side of the ball for the Browns. I thought, generally speaking, the line did a better job in this game. Obviously, a rough game for Jed Wilson. There is so much at stake for him in this season. I think just in terms of his future. Just period, Browns league, what that salary will look like for him. This was a tough one, and obviously we all know the one that stood out, unfortunately, like a little bit of a sore thumb. On the other end of the spectrum, though, I thought, as I said, Joel Bitonio, clearly he's battling, is not where we're accustomed to seeing him, but still out there battling. The guy that I was the most excited about, though, on the offensive line who really bounced back this week was Ethan Posick. Ethan Posick was fantastic. Did not allow a pressure in this game. That was big. That's what you needed to see from him. And he was one of the guys, the last few years, he was top 3 center on Pro Football Focus in 22 and 23. It was good to see him kind of round into form. I like that. Offensively, a couple of guys with career highs. David Njoku tied his career high with 10 receptions in this game. And Cedric Tillman set a new career high with 8 catches, 81 yards as well. And I liked what I saw from Cedric Tillman, honestly. I thought that he played pretty well there, had a chance at a contested catch touchdown, which would have been pretty cool from his high school quarterback. I think DTR saw that one. I can't wait to talk to them about it, but I'm pretty sure he checked into that and was like, I got one-on-one. Let me throw it to my guy, and let's see what happens here. And so that's apparently what he tried to do, got a pass interference. And then that leads me to third. Great to see Nick Chubb. Hopefully, he had 30 snaps in this game. Touches were basically right where we thought they would be, and he got into the end zone, which was awesome and a good thing to see. Bo
was not there. Obviously, yesterday had a different tone because of everything that surrounded it. What was the building like in the anticipation of his introduction and then the actual introduction? Was it? I'm sure I know the answer, but for those of us who were not there, paint the picture.
Gibbe, do you want to help with this one? I don't think he was listening.
Gibbe, he was talking about his third point was Nick Chubb got in the end zone, all of that. And I said, look, yesterday was a different show because of everything else that was going on. We have a chance to talk about Nick Chubb's introduction and all that went into that. For those of us who were not there, did it live up to what you thought it would be?
For Chubb? Like
yes,
the introduction?
Or Nick Chubb. The
for
introduction
everything.
of Nick Chubb.
Yeah. 100%. I would have liked to have seen him touch the ball in the second half.
Sure.
Same. Well, here's what I would say. If you were to juxtapose Nick Chubb's introduction relative to the people that preceded him, massive difference.
Yeah. I imagine
just
that there probably
complete
was.
Eruption of cheers and joy and jubilation, and it was Goosebump City. It was exciting. It was emotional.
The introduction was awesome.
So did they give it? He went last.
Yes.
He did.
And was there a beat?
Between second to last
and last?
No.
Pretty quick?
Very.
And then away we go.
And a bit of a dichotomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as it would be. But I think that you think about
more than you could have even imagined, I would imagine.
It was an awesome moment because he literally, in his Nick Chubb way, and you can watch it on our social media platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, he runs out, he greets his teammate. same
All
level.
business, man.
Easy.
He's all business.
That's why
and he
he's
goes
Nick
right
Chubb.
to the bench.
And
I got to go.
Shout
Let's
out
go.
to Rossi and his team because they had the comic book theme and they released that one and they had that go like a few flips of the comic book kind of on the big screen and, and to introduce him. Yeah, it was actually really, it was very
that's
cool.
cool.
And then out he came and it was epic.
I haven't seen those. Are we still doing the game posters?
So
Yes.
yes,
I haven't
but
seen those
I think
this
we've
year.
gotten 2 weeks of them. I don't know if someone's afraid to come in here again. We
Why would
go
anybody
through
be
this.
afraid to come in here? We love everybody. We're inclusive of all.
Correct. Yeah,
That's why
but
we sit in a glass room. We
you
welcome
get
in.
someone. They're like, "Am I allowed in there? Can I
Yeah.
go in there?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
actually, anytime.
Please come on in.
I
Not any time.
Podes.
And not anyone.
Well,
But Podes. I mean, not
Podes,
Come on,
100%.
green light.
Podes.
Blanche.
I got to find Podes because Podes has all these posters.
Okay,
Supposedly.
yeah, because I would
would
love
like
to
one.
see the
Well,
Nick.
given
I've
that-
never seen the Nick Chubb.
Given
one. I'd
that
like to
you
see
guys
it.
both work in the same building, it might be easy to locate them. Might be easy to track them down.
In the
I
old
spoke with
days,
him
I
today.
could. In the old days, I could track down a Podes very quickly. Now I wouldn't even
He's
know
got an
which way
office.
to go. But he was in over there.
Not anymore.
In the old days. Yeah. In the restructure, he swapped around.
He's got a window.
You know what this?
I'm
You know
gonna
what this
text
is? You know what this is?
I do.
Do you?
Hold on.
If you get this right, I'm going to be really impressed. You know what that is, Gibbe?
No.
G-Man? That's Proximo. Simulating the killer blow that he would give as a gladiator at the Coliseum.
Is this because you watched Gladiator last
is.
week? That's exactly. Okay.
Exactly.
I just want to clarify.
I wasn't the best because I killed quickly. I was the best because the crowd loved me.
That's how he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was his move.
It's a great movie.
It's
So
everybody
good.
who
So good.
likes Gladiator out there,
It's long.
rewatch it
okay.
immediately. It's awesome. It doesn't even feel long because it's so good. And if you haven't seen it, hey.
Hey, come on. I'm going to tell you I love the opening scene. I love that when we're in Germania.
Oh, man. By the way, those barbarians they seem formidable.
Jeez. On my signal, unleash hell. Do you want to do defense?
You know, I do, but
We might run out of time.
I will.
just
Here's
say
what I'll
one-
say.
Here,
Go ahead.
no,
No,
you
I-
could do this. We'll just do a short segment. We'll
I
move
want to do
Denzel
three
to another
things.
day if you'd like.
No, absolutely
No,
not.
of course not,
No.
of course not.
Speaking of Denzel, 2 more passes defense.
Yeah,
that's
he's-
12
that's
on the
all I
year.
wanted to bring up.
He's
This
been
game's great.
great. Isaiah McGuire, 4 pressures in this game was fantastic. That's 4 pressures out of 7 pass rushes. He has really elevated his game in year 2, and you need him with Alex Wright down. Shout out to Mahmoud Diabate, continues to bring the lumber. What a hit he had on the sideline in this game. It was great to see Jordan Hicks back. Thought he played very well and was apparent from snap 1 that he was going to be a force there. And then Michael Hall is going to be very, very good.
Yep.
I feel pretty confident about that on the field. He is going to be a very
There are a
talented player.
lot of nice pieces on this defense that are young, that are
Yes.
here, that are Browns, and there's a lot to like on that side of things. This is pretty interesting. This from Campfire Races. Greyhounds are so fast that you can't use an invisible fence because they get through it before the fence registers they're even close.
That is insane.
As they galloped down the street, it was going 60 miles an hour.
What is their
That's
top speed? though?
crazy.
It's got to be in the
It's gotta
40s.
be-
It's got to be.
Well,
Yeah.
it's fast enough.
We're
that
going to
bunny
get it.
could
We're going to get it sorted out.
cost me a family member.
All right, Denzel coming up next. Just to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Boost your game day this sports. Did you see? Boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $50 or more. You get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Ask and ye shall receive. The great Podes. Thank you, thank you. Very good job out of him. Time to go to the podium presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. It is Denzel Ward. Let's have a listen.
Hey Denzel. I talked to Greg a little bit after the game about this, but you guys obviously play a ton of man. But one of the tendencies from you guys is that there isn't this sort of commitment to one guy following somebody all over the field. Is that something that you'd prefer to do? Or is that just kind of the nature of you guys all kind of believe you can lock anybody down in any given play?
Yeah, I mean, I just personally prefer to do whatever for this team to try to get a win. That's the main goal. So, whatever the plan is, I want to run and try to get a win. But to also answer your question, I feel we're all more than capable of locking our guys down and playing man to man and executing our assignment.
Yeah, Denzel, can you just address the fact that you guys have lost Deshaun Watson for the rest of the season? What does that mean to you personally and to you guys as a football team?
Yeah, it definitely hurt. I mean, Deshaun, he's a great guy in our locker room and a great player. And but just like anything else, it's next man up mentality. And one of those other quarterbacks is going to have to step in and take on the role. And we're going to have their back as we still have Deshaun's back as well. And we're just trying to find a way to continue to try to get a win each week.
And Denzel, knowing what Deshaun was able to do when he was out there this season, what did you think of his performance? Could you see you guys, winning with him going forward when he comes back from this surgery?
Yeah, I definitely could see us winning with them. It was definitely spurts there. I mean, we all got things that we got to work on and get better at. And so just praying for a speedy recovery and healthy recovery for him. And we'll all be waiting his return once he gets back.
Hey, Denzel. So how do you regroup at 1-6 and losing your starting quarterback?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just gotta refocus. I mean, it's behind us and it's on to a new week. So we got Baltimore this week. We got to lock in on what we got to do to try to get a win this week and see our matchups and execute our assignment and go out there and do it. So it's just all about refocusing and finding a way to get a win.
And I know it wasn't perfect, but did that feel like a step forward for the defense, holding Cincinnati to 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, and that's the goal. Just trying to get better each week. Like I said, they're a great offense, and I feel we executed pretty well, but we got to play complementary football on all phases and help each other out. But it's things that we still got to get better at on defense, and we can still be better. So we're not all the way there yet, but we're on our way.
Yeah, just wondering with with where you guys are at this season, like kind of how as a leader in the locker room, are you kind of talking to the younger guys to kind of keep your head up as you're moving forward in the season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just about just focusing on what we got to focus on, and being intentional about all the details going in throughout the week, and doing our own job, our own assignment, and taking care of that week in and week out.
Hey Denzel, when you guys are in a rough stretch like this, 5-game losing streak, you're entering a new work week and you're looking for that win. Does it change the way that you do enter the work week, the way that you approach practice, and how does that look for you guys?
For myself personally, I just try to stick to the same routine. And follow the routine of practice, workouts, and everything. I don't think we gotta do anything too crazy. We just gotta key in, lock in on the details, know our job, know our assignment, and execute that out there on the field. A lot of times I feel like we do hurt ourselves with penalties and things like that. So we just gotta find a way to minimize that, and I think we'll be better.
Have you felt maybe a sense of urgency increase over the past couple weeks, or?
Oh yeah, no question. It's definitely a sense of urgency. No one likes losing, so we definitely don't want to continue this losing streak that we're on. So it's definitely a sense of urgency of trying to get this thing flipped around and get back on track.
Hey, Denzel, we asked Miles a little bit about this last week, and just as another defensive cornerstone, wanted to ask you. He was talking about after Amari was traded, how when you're losing as a team, guys kind of have to be ready for anything. I guess just how do you handle that part of the game at 1-6 like you guys are?
How do I handle what part exactly? Say it again for
How
me.
do you guys as a group like handle this idea? Miles talked about how when you're losing,
Mm.
anybody can be gone basically at any time. Trades can happen. You kind of have to be prepared for that. Just how do you think guys are handling that part of it?
I mean, I think guys will handle it fine. I mean, we got our goal is to win each week. And like I said, our focus is on to get the game plan for this week going against Baltimore and seeing what we got to do to get a win and finding a way to execute that assignment. So I think that's all it is.
And then just when Deshaun went down yesterday, multiple guys talked about it after the game, the reaction they heard from fans and maybe some booing, things like that. I guess just what did you see in that moment and your reaction just to as the injury happened?
Yeah, I think it was very disappointing to hear the fans cheer or boo or whatever from. I never knew when it was a good time to kick a man when he's down or hurting, and so I think it was just very disappointing. I feel like we people everyone has to be better than that, and look ourselves, look everybody got to look themselves in the mirror and be better. I mean, regardless of what you may think of a person or what someone's been through or whatever the situation may be, that doesn't make it right or make it any better for to kick a man when he's down or to cheer when someone gets injured. And so I think everyone just has to be better. But overall, I was just very disappointing to experience and witness that.
Hey, Denzel, you've been a part of some frustrating seasons as a Brown. Given the start that you guys have had and the expectations, how not necessarily would you rate this disappointing start, like to compare to other seasons? Like, is it more frustrating given the expectations that you guys had going into the year?
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. Because we definitely had big expectations and still got big expectations. I mean, we're trying to get this thing turned around and fixed, but it's just trying to stay focused on the week in and week out, and seeing what we could do to get this thing changed around and not. I mean, no one's gonna feel sorry for us, or you can't feel sorry for yourself. So we're just trying to focus on the positive and do what we can to get this thing back on the right track.
All right, it's the Joe Thomas half hour of the program. It is coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We are efforting Hoff. In the meantime, I do have some more Greyhound facts for you. This one from Jim. Greyhounds are famous for their sprinting, topping at 40 to 45 miles per hour on average. However, they can also sustain great speed, usually 35 miles per hour for approximately 7 miles.
Jeez.
It's like here to Brook Park, brother.
More.
Yeah, even more.
Yeah.
That's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
How
do
many
that.
miles to here to the airport?
I can't do that.
In our current location. You think it's 5?
I'd say
you probably know
I'm gonna
exactly.
say 4.3. That's my guess. 4.3. What do you think about that?
Filibuster for a second until I get
I'll filibuster. Speaking of running fast, shout out to my boy Lego J.
Who's that guy?
The son of Beatbox.
Son of Beatbox.
Yeah. Beatbox's
Oh my
boy,
gosh, it's only
Lego
2
J,
miles from here.
who is a runner, and I want to congratulate him. 4th grade, won the middle school cross country. He's the champion of the season, and just ran his first sub 7-minute mile.
Fantastic.
Lego J.
Good job at a Lego J.
Run like the wind.
Let's go,
By
baby.
the way,
Steve
coming up,
Prefontaine Jr.
Coming up at 2:40, little college football Nate, but also I've got that clip of Jarrah talking about why he didn't need Derrick Henry.
Oh, let's listen to it.
Jarrah.
Or is that coming up at 2:40?
I think it's going to come up at 2:40 because I
Might
believe
need
the
it now.
Hoff is the Hoff says he's ready now.
There he is.
So he's
Young
not
Scarlet.
on the phone yet.
Scarlet.
Young Scarlet. Feeling very back. He
The
says he's back.
gladiator
He
who
says
defied
Clemson
an
is
emperor.
he keeps saying Clemson's back. Still undefeated.
Kev, do you have that clip?
They got to beat the U if they want to be back. That's a sneak.
You said it.
Sneak preview of college football. Nate,
You said it.
knowledge and takes.
We're a well-oiled machine on a Tuesday.
Well, the
I
Hoff.
actually have Joe Thomas.
Oh,
instead
well, there he
of
is.
the
Oh, well, there
clip.
we
That's
go.
why I didn't answer when you
You're
asked
fine.
me.
No, you're
fine.
good.
Oh,
You're good.
Hoff.
Do we have the Hoff? Is the Hoff there?
Hello, gentlemen.
Hoff. Hoff, welcome back stateside.
It's great to be back on USA soil, and it's great to be talking to you guys, as always.
Let's get a little rundown. We'll get into our stuff, but I mean, let's have a little fun first. Let's give me a rundown. Give me the London rundown. Arrival, meals, accommodations, game, experience. Go.
Yeah, so the experience was awesome. We got in Thursday. I actually got to bring my oldest daughter, Logan, and my son, Jack. They didn't
Consummate
have,
family
sports or
man,
anything
Clark.
that was going to hold them back. Yeah, of course. He had to, involve the family in the spoils of life, and so I brought them, and I brought Annie. And we stayed at the Kimpton Fitzroy, kind of like in central northern London.
Nice.
Beautiful hotel, like super audacious, like exactly like what you would expect out of a historic hotel in London. It was beautiful. You could walk, and there was cafes, and all the nice things that London has to offer. And I will say my kids and my wife did all the things that London has to offer, and they enjoyed themselves. They went to the Matilda play. They went to Wicked 2.
Oh, boy.
They had a couple nice meals. But unfortunately, Z, as you know, when you do color or you do the radio, there's a lot of grinding that has to happen, especially when you're doing two teams that you don't pay as close of attention to as maybe, say, the Cleveland Browns, because, well, they were both 1-5 teams, and
Yes.
they weren't exactly on a lot of my crossovers. So I had to do a lot of grinding and didn't really get out of the hotel too much, except for we did have a really nice dinner at Gaucho's, which was like a Argentinian steak place.
Speaking my language.
Had some really fine lomo, lomado. I think it's like Argentinian, Peruvian type way that they cut their steaks and the way they grill them. They're really good. But other than that, I would say the highlight for me was just doing the game. I mean, being able to be in the color booth with Chris Rose, the uber talented Cleveland Brown fan like myself.
Yeah.
The guy just can do everything. It's awesome, and he brings so much energy and excitement. I mean, that was the worry, I think, from the network all week. It was like, all right, guys, 2 1-5 teams, but we're the only game on right now, so make sure you don't forget your energy at home. Put it in your bag. And it was easy with Chris being there at my side and being in Wembley, which was a stadium I've never been to. I didn't get to play in London when I was there because I got hurt the week before we played the Vikings in Twickenham.
2017.
So it was it was an awesome experience just being over there, seeing the English fans, seeing the excitement for the NFL game, seeing all 32 jerseys just about equally spread out in the crowd. And actually, for the first part, the game was pretty decent. Drake May played pretty well. He was kind of fun to watch. And then the Jaguars running game just took over.
Tank Bigsby smashing dudes in the mouth. Brian Thomas, who's
I think a
young
guys.
superstar.
It's weird their record is what it is.
Their receiver. Let me say this, Hoff. So I have, I'm on at 10:30, so the game started at 9:30 local time. But I was able to listen to you guys the whole way to the stadium. Able to, it's a beautiful thing about living in 2024. Get the phone set up, get the audio through the Bluetooth, and I thought you and Chris were great. It was just a fun listen. It's because I could tell you guys were having a good time together. I happen to know both of you. You're both friends, and I've gotten to work with both of you, and it was just awesome. It was couldn't have been better. I really loved it, and I could tell you were having fun with it as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That was the big thing, and I think was really highlighted by the producers all week. Hey, have fun, make sure it's a fun game, no matter what the outcome is. And it's so easy when you work with Chris. And I think early on in the game, I really wanted to dive into the X's and O's and stuff.
Yeah.
And telestrator didn't work in, and you get up there and you have these equipment malfunctions you can't control. It's live TV, you just got to roll with it. And so we just kind of ended up making it a conversation at the bar, which I think it was probably better that way anyway, because that was what kind of everybody commented after I talked to him. Like, hey, it just sounded like you guys were having fun, and it was a fun listen. And, when it's not a big game as far as record-wise or standing, you just want people to be able to sit there and enjoy it, make it a fun listen, learn a little bit about football. And to their credit, the teams did a good job, especially early on, making it a fun game and giving us an opportunity to kind of highlight some of the young talent, especially on the Patriots.
Huff, how did your kids like London? I asked because my wife is pushing hard for a spring break across the pond, and I'm dubious to think if they will enjoy it.
Yeah, so I feel like my kids are definitely sporty, but there's like a little nerdy side of them. They definitely like going to the plays. Like I said, they went to Matilda, they went to Wicked. They like going to nice meals. So they're probably maybe a little easier to take to a big city than most kids, especially after being in Munich for 9 months like we were. It was easy to go get on the tube and do all the city stuff that before we lived there, my kids probably would have been nervous about or it been a struggle, but it's great. Like my kids love Harry Potter. There's Harry Potter stuff everywhere. You can do Harry Potter tours. You can go see the places in the movies.
Oh yeah.
You go buy your wand. They got stores, So if you're into that type of stuff, if you're into the thespian side of things, that's really cool for the kids. And then if they get into the royalty stuff at all, which, I'm not really, but the kids thought it was cool to go see Changing of the Guard and Buckingham Palace and all like those things that you see on TV. So I would say it's a definite yes. Maybe not my first choice, but I think the kids would love it.
All right, very fair.
All right, Hoff, I'm going to hit you and Bo with some breaking rumor. I can't call it news, but
breaking rumor.
Breaking
rumor.
I
love breaking rumor.
And just to get your reaction to this, so all of it involves the Rams. The first bit is that multiple teams have called the Rams have called multiple teams about trading former Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp. Sources tell Mike Silver, Diana Rossini, and others they're willing to take on some of his 24 salary and seeking a second-round pick. So that's interesting. I could think of a number of teams that would be in the market for Cooper Kupp, who certainly helps them. Now, the rumor that is going around from multiple people right now making the waves is the following: that the Vikings and Rams are in serious trade talks for quarterback Matthew Stafford.
Whoa. Oh, my. Wow.
That's an attention getter on a bunch of fronts.
On a bunch of fronts.
So, well, Hoff, you're the Hoff. You go first.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me from the Vikings standpoint because they've proven that they can win with Sam Darnold. I mean, they got a really good thing going right now, and I know maybe they're saying, hey, if we just upgrade a little bit at this position, we could win a Super Bowl this season. But I guess I would want to know what the compensation is because you still got a first-round pick who's going to be coming back to play quarterback
unless he's in
year
it
for you, and you still believe in him, right? Unless he's part of the trade. And then you think maybe Stafford's the guy that potentially wins you the Super Bowl this year, and then you just hang on to Sam Darnold and try to play hey, we want a mid-range quarterback and sort of build a good team around him. I mean, that would be interesting.
So what I think is, and I was right about the OC for the Rams in 20 and 21. I'm pretty sure 21 was the first year that he was there. Was Stafford was a Ram, right? Was Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
So he has been there with Stafford, gets the head coaching job after they win the Super Bowl, presumably, right? Do I have that timeline?
I think you have that right.
I have that timeline right? Okay. Right, yes. So he was hired as offensive coordinator in their second season, second best, blah, blah, blah. Won the Super Bowl, he then becomes the Vikings head coach. So obviously he has coached Stafford and likes him a great deal. I think they can win the Super Bowl, and while Sam Darnold has been nice, he's looked a lot more like Sam Darnold the last couple of games than the early season.
Yeah.
And I think they think that's an upgrade. My guess is they would send Darnold there. Remember, Darnold is a free agent at the end of the year. He signed just a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So they don't have anything long-term into Darnold at all. Then you could have Stafford be here. I think I'll have to look up Stafford's contract, but I'm pretty sure Stafford is also on the last year of his deal. And then he'd be a mentor and somebody for, J.J. McCarthy to really learn from. And then,
he's too good still to be a mentor.
No, not this. I mean, he'd be the quarterback this year, but then maybe he wouldn't be.
Then he'd go into free agency.
Let's see. No, he's still got guaranteed money coming in. He's got $4 million guaranteed.
Yeah, because we dealt with this with the with when we were talking about him for the Dolphins. I would also say that if this is something that's happening, that this might be something that Matthew Stafford originated.
Yeah. Like, hey, I gave you what I need, but this isn't happening here.
I don't want to waste a year going on a 4-13 team. I have value. The only way you're going to be able to build this is to recoup. Remember, it was blank those picks for all those years. Well, it comes home to roost when you don't have depth, and he has value. You can get some value back for me. Kevin and I get along great. We see the game the same way. I can throw to those two receivers and have that defense and everything else. I get to play in a dome. It's a little bit Favrean from the standpoint of he would be going to a rival of the team of record for him, Detroit.
Correct. Which
is a choice. It was like Favre going to Minnesota as well.
He's not going back to Detroit. We know that.
No, but I mean, he's going in the division.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be – if this is something that gets consummated, I would imagine that Stafford – it wouldn't surprise me at all, Joe, and you know more how these things work than we do, that maybe Matthew got the ball rolling on it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guarantee his agent has probably been putting it in his ear for a while, like, hey, we got to get out of L.A. We got to get out of L.A., right? You don't want to squander the last couple of years potentially of your career in a team that's trying to rebuild but won't be able to rebuild quickly. It's not like it's a reload. It's definitely a long-term rebuild. And maybe it was just enough pestering from the agent where Matthew said, all right, let's go see if we can make it happen. And then the team gives the agent the A-OK to kind of sniff around and call teams and just see if there's interest and then kind of figure out, hey, what would it take, that type of thing. But definitely would be intriguing. And obviously with how great the NFC North is, they're thinking that they need a lot of firepower just to try to win that that division and then to move through the conference if they want to get a Super Bowl. Maybe they think that Darnold's been nice but not good enough to get them that ultimate trophy. And shoot your shot. I mean, I always give owners credit that are willing to put all their chips in the middle and try to win a Super Bowl rather than just say, hey, we'd rather just be good and fill the seats. Like, I love the owners that are willing to go all in and try to win a Super Bowl, because us as fans, it's great to go to the playoffs. But we're fans because we want to see our team win a championship. So, I mean, I would love to see it. I think Matthew Stafford's one of those guys in the league that I think a lot of fans like, even if he's not on your team, because of how he handled himself in Detroit for all those years and how he's handled himself now in LA with the Rams. And so I think a lot of people would cheer for him if this was the move that was made, and certainly kind of seeing what the compensation looks like and what the contract situations for everybody looks like if they extend anybody or what like that would be interesting. I mean, I love it. I love as we get closer to the trade deadline, you get all these breaking rumors.
Just a rumor.
On the lower third
Yeah.
of my on my Cleveland Browns TV right here.
It would be interesting, right? Because I think you're right. Now, they could say we could do what Jordan Love sat for a few years, and that's worked out very well for Green Bay. Like, you don't have to play J.J. McCarthy.
No.
If you had Stafford, you feel like you could go for it. You're getting Hawkinson back this week. Now, they're playing Thursday night. Correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't they playing the Rams?
You might be right.
So they will be in L.A., which would make this even weirder. By the way, speaking of Cooper Kupp.
They do. Yeah.
Okay.
Minnesota's at Rams this week.
Yeah. So that's
in 2 days.
Certainly plenty of time for everybody to get together if they wanted to discuss this face-to-face. I do think, by the way, for Cooper Kupp, where I want him to go, I want to go the Chargers. Justin Herbert needs a dude.
Yeah.
Let Justin Herbert have a dude.
Let him have somebody who can catch
Cooper
it.
Kupp's already living in L.A. Wouldn't have to change his life at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Justin Herbert gets a dude.
I don't think Harbaugh's given up a 2, though. And he's been injury-proof. Injury-prone.
And he's
rather.
older.
Yeah,
I hear you. I just want him to have a dude.
I know. Yeah. I think he would be more of who is a team that feels like they're like I always go back to Kansas City. Like if you put him at Kansas City because they're undefeated, but they're not spectacular offensively.
Of course, I think some team in the AFC would overpay just to make sure he can't go to Kansas City.
Can't go to Kansas City, yeah. The Stafford thing is fascinating, though. That's
Let's live in a fantasy world for a second.
Please.
Let's say that this trade happens today.
Okay.
Neither of them play Thursday, right?
No, too close. It would have to happen. That's the other thing that's strange is so they play each other Thursday, then the timing is right to bring in a quarterback because you get the kind of mini bye. Out of
Stafford would know all
he would know it
and so would Sam.
Yeah, that's true.
I bet there's tons of crossover in those two offenses.
Probably true.
Tons.
It'd be an easy.
Very
and honestly,
easy.
Sam could.
What if they get traded today and they start for their teams on Thursday?
I'm going to tell you what. Like Sam could easily be a bridge quarterback for the Rams to find their way as they recoup picks, and he could start. And he's been successful in that system, and they swung for the fences. He's a USC kid. All of that makes a lot of sense. Off.
Oh, man. I kind of want this to happen.
It makes a lot of sense for the Rams. Yeah, I love the trades where both sides feel like not that they won, but they got what they needed, and they were better off after it was made. And I think you made a good point. Like the Rams, they're in a multi-year rebuild, and who better to do that with than Sam Darnold, because we've seen that he can play good ball, but you also don't have expectations from the fan base that, he's our guy, we're going to win the Super Bowl. Like there's not going to be so much pressure on him as they rebuild. And I think it makes sense for both sides.
All right, speaking of trades, Hoff, we've talked with you, and I think Bo really put your noodle in a pretzel when we revisited what could have been, perhaps had you decided to accept a trade to the Denver Broncos and gone on to win a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning and be living, at Castle Pines and all of those things.
He'd be on the Manning cast. He's sitting right next to him.
Yes. Mitchell Schwartz, your former teammate, said something that was, I thought, on some levels probably not on base, on other levels probably, on base. Oh, the great Bernard!
Oh, I didn't know he was in the
Kosar
building.
Walking through the building.
Oh,
yeah, baby.
royalty!
How about it?
Let's go.
But was talking about a guy like Joel Bitonio, who you've known well, and I think at this stage in his career is in a similar position. And obviously, with what's going on with the Browns right now, he's a guy that I would imagine would draw interest from contending teams who are looking to get a consummate professional and stud on that line. What do you even make of just that notion, just as a theoretical discussion point? Obviously, these are not scores. Nobody knows anything. But it just, from a logic standpoint, he's somebody that if I was a team that felt like I was a stud guard, from solidifying my line to make a Super Bowl run, he's the first person I would call about in the league right now.
Yeah, and we know how hard it is to find offensive linemen as the season goes on. You get banged up, and there's just no depth in the NFL at offensive line positions. I think maybe this situation is possibly a little different than mine, and I don't know, since it's been several years since I was in that situation, and I'd never even really considered taking a trade from the Browns or asking for a trade, or not even really interested when it was going on. I was just trying to focus on my job and trying to help my team and focusing on the rebuild that we were in. But I think the situation we were in, we were clearly rebuilding, and the expectations was not, hey, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. It's like, hey, we're building a foundation for the future. And I like being part of building something, right? That was always exciting to me. That was always something that it got me up in the morning. No matter what our record was, I felt like, we got a team that's full of a ton of young guys, and I can have an impact on their lives, on their future, on the future of this franchise by not only my performance, but what I can teach these guys around me. And I wonder, since the situation with Joel right now is big expectations coming into the season going terribly, and clearly not going to have an opportunity to make the playoffs, and wondering what the future is for the franchise. The direction really is still kind of unclear. I mean, you just traded Amari, but the question, I think, is who else is going to go? Is it going to be a fire sale and now we're building 2-3 years into the future? Or, what is this direction headed? Are we going to be able to try to reload? Like, where are we and what are we doing? And I think that's the question for Joel, where it might be easier for him to say, yeah, a trade really makes sense. I don't know how many years I have left. I don't know what the direction is. I don't even know what my mission is here as the left guard of this team. Am I trying to help develop these guys around me to build a foundation for the future, or are these guys even going to be here? So I think maybe just putting myself in Joel's shoes, I think potentially he would probably be a lot more open to a trade, to a contender than I was, because I think the situations were a lot different and the directions that the teams were headed are a lot different.
Hoff, it's incredibly interesting stuff, all of this, and especially with this rumor out there on the Rams side of things, and you live this with Denver. How do these things come about in terms of, you mentioned, I thought it was interesting when I mentioned the Stafford thing, is this agent driven? Is the NFL a much smaller world than I think maybe some people realize, and everybody kind of knows everybody? Because we're in a situation where nobody thought this was the script. Nobody thought we'd be 1-6. No one had thought that you'd have a lost season with Deshaun with another injury. We've already traded Amari Cooper, as we know about, a week ago today. By the way, that seems like 6 months ago, and it was last week today when that happened. And so you talking about Joel or Za'Darius or others who are veteran guys. This is not going to be a fire sale here. You have Miles and Denzel and JOK and Delpit and countless others that are going to be part of this, that are still in their prime, that are under contract, that are going to be already done the foundation stuff. That's here already. So it's just going to be kind of flipping this thing on the fly. For our audience, and you lived through this, how does this stuff happen? How does this rumor that Z's talking about, or what you went through with Denver all those years ago, or what Joel could be going through, how does it come about while you're in the midst of a season?
It is a small world. I think agents, they talk with each other. They talk with the general managers. They're constantly in communication about everybody. And I think they have a really good thumb on the pulse of guys that potentially could be available. And they're not afraid to just shoot a text and just ask about a guy. And I think, speaking of my own situation, I'd heard from my agent first that Denver was interested, and it was kind of obvious they were looking for a left tackle because they felt like they had a championship team. They got a quarterback who's a little bit long in the tooth and can't survive too many hits, so they definitely needed to replace their left tackle who had been injured early in the season, all-pro Ryan Clady, and they didn't have an obvious replacement. And so I think it was apparent they needed somebody. My agent had mentioned something, hey, they're talking to the Browns, and I just kind of brushed it off initially, and then I started hearing more about it, and then I think what had happened, hard to remember in hindsight, and hard to know what's actual truth and what's not, but I remember my agent saying something about Elway is trying to leak or at least not leaking. He's just talking to the Browns media and saying, hey, this is what we're trying to do, so that they report it to try to put some pressure on the Browns, because from what I understand, the Browns were kind of like, no, we're not interested. And so Elway started talking with the Browns media, putting the floaters out there and saying, hey, this is what's out there, to see if maybe they could get some pressure on, hey, this is a great deal. We've made a great offer. They need to consider this, because once it's in the public sphere, then you got to talk about it. You got to answer the questions, whether you're Sashi Brown or whether you're me as a player or some of the other coaches. And I think at that point, then it becomes a little closer to being real, and then people are forced to think about it a little bit more. So, yeah, I think a lot of it does start with the agents. It could start with the general managers, and they know who to talk to in the media to put stuff out there, to float ideas, to see what the fans might think about something, to maybe try to put some pressure on the other organization if they feel like it's a deal that's too good for them to pass up. So it is a really interesting world. I mean, there's a documentary right there for Netflix.
Yeah.
Just to follow all 32 general managers throughout the year. I mean, can you imagine? It'd be the highest rated Netflix show ever if they were able to put a huge series together just called General Manager. The quarterback was amazing for them. You imagine if it was General Manager and they just followed these guys all year long? That'd be incredible.
Oh, baby.
Well, did you see the Giants, Hoff? Did you watch the Giants off-season one, Hard Knocks? Did you see that, Hoff?
No.
Oh, my God.
Was it amazing?
It's amazing. It's everything you just described, and it's timely this week because Saquon went and ripped them up for 170 yards. And there's a scene where Mara is in the general manager's office, and he says, "What's going on with Saquon?" And the GM goes, "We hear Chicago." I'm paraphrasing, but we hear Chicago's driving up the price, and I don't think it's going to be Philly. And Mara says, "Well, I really don't. I don't really want it to be Philly. Like I don't want any part of that." And then a couple of seconds later, he moves to the back of the room, and he goes, "The GM and the coaches are talking," and Mara kind of interjects again, and he goes, "Listen, he is our most popular player by far. I just want that on the record." And so, like, I would say that this means the end is probably near for that front office, because ownership said, "Hey, this ain't what I want," and it happened anyway.
They just dropped 170 on him.
Yeah. So I think that's what you described, it's out there. I just think people missed it in the offseason, maybe because we didn't want football at that time. I don't know what.
I thought it was fascinating.
But it was stunning, and they tried desperately to get Jaden Daniels, and they swung and missed on that, all the while publicly saying that it was Daniel Jones all the time. Like, it was incredibly illuminating.
It most certainly was.
I think the cool thing, if you did have something like that, was, front-facing people in the organization, general managers, head coaches, they have to always say, "Hey, we believe in our guy, we love it," in case they can't get the replacement, right? Can you imagine if they would have come out and said, "Yeah, we want Jaden Daniels, he looks amazing," and then they can't get him, they're stuck with Daniel Jones, how he would feel about that, and it would get so sticky. So how many times you would be able to see behind closed doors, guys saying, "Hey, we need to upgrade. We like this guy. Whatever we got to do to get rid of our current guy." And then flash forward like 5 seconds later, they're going to the press conference. "Nope, Daniel Jones is our guy. We believe in him. We got him forever. We hope to have him until he's in his 15th season." And I think it would probably be one of those things where general managers would probably hate it, right? Because they would be shown to be two-faced and really liars about a lot of this stuff, but that's just part of the business. I mean, you're stuck in a situation as a general manager where you want to upgrade the position, sort of the face of your franchise, whether you like it or not, the quarterback, no matter who he is. But you have to hedge your bets a little bit, because even if you're trying to replace him, you may not be able to. It's not always a guarantee, and he may be coming back as your guy. So you got to kind of save face and play both sides against the middle. It's really a challenging situation, but I think it would be fascinating for the fans to be able to peek behind that curtain.
No doubt. All right, Hoff, let's talk about the most important thing. Finally, the Hoff has come back to Cleveland.
You're coming home, baby.
Hoff, talk to us. I know we got an autograph signing on Saturday. You and I have got the gift of lift, hopefully on Friday. What's happening? Break it down for us. Where can the people rub elbows with greatness?
Sir. Oh, man, I can't wait to be back. I'm so excited to be in that stadium, seeing who's going to be playing quarterback, seeing what type of offense we're going to be running, seeing the great Z and Bo on Monday at CBD. I'm going to be in the studio with you guys, getting the gift of lift Friday. Saturday, like I said, that autograph show, you can check out my social media, Joe Thomas 73, Instagram, Twitter, that type of stuff. But just trying to fill up the schedule right now. I'd love to break some bread with you, Z, and drink some vino.
Yes.
Enjoy my time in Cleveland. But, yeah, just right now trying to fill out that schedule a little bit, seeing friends and trying to see some of the guys in the team, bump into Joel maybe in the weight room, pump some iron, see how he's doing.
Oh, baby.
Say hi to Miles and Joku and some of the guys that I played with, and just enjoying time in the land.
Hoff, the team that you will see this weekend is very different than the one that it was intended to be. You mentioned this earlier when we were talking about your situation, but in terms of expectations, and you were never in a situation where a contender and all of a sudden it was all stripped away. What do you hope to see Sunday against Baltimore? Because obviously they are lights out at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good argument that they're probably the best team in the NFL right now, with the two best running players in the NFL, with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. But to me, it's really an exciting matchup, because I've always said that it looked like our defense was built to stop a Lamar Jackson type offense, where we got fast linebackers, we got fast safeties, we can play with three safeties, we got a defensive line that's got speed, they can get after the quarterback. So I think from a defensive standpoint, it's a fun matchup for us to be able to pit ourselves against the best. This is the best offense in the league right now. It's the leading candidate for NFL MVP with Lamar Jackson. So that side is really exciting to watch. But then I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. I think DTR had a finger or a hand, but you don't know if he's going to play or not. But I'd love to see Jameis out there under center doing the Kevin Stefanski stuff, right? The same stuff we saw with Joe Flacco last year, under center, run the ball, play action, traditional drop back, fling the ball down the field. There's going to be some mistakes occasionally. With Jameis, he's going to throw some up, but I think it's exciting football. And so I'm hoping that there's a little bit of new life in that stadium, in that locker room, with Jameis at quarterback, with just sort of maybe a new direction here that we have right now after Deshaun went down with his injury. So, I mean, I'm just hoping for some excitement, right? It seemed like it was the doldrums so far this season, every time home or away as a Cleveland Browns fan. So hopefully there's a little bit of a spark with Jameis coming into that game and some excitement there, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, the spark will be provided by your presence. I know that. Can't wait to see you, buddy. Safe travels. Great talking to you. Go ahead real quick, Z.
Yes, and I've gotten a text from a Ram source who says that is absolutely, unequivocally false.
I really wish you would have done that after the break so that we could have enjoyed.
I know. By the way, kudos to us. Tremendous radio.
Enjoy all of
that.
We
did great.
A little bit more.
But we did enjoy it. And look.
I know.
It's 2:32.
I know. But now it's pour water and it would have been fun.
Well, listen, don't shoot the messenger. I'm not the thief of joy.
No, you're not. You're not.
The
You're
source
not the thief of
is.
joy. The source is the thief of joy. Good stuff, Hoff. Well, can't wait to see you next Monday.
Hoff,
in the studio.
I can't wait to embrace you.
Looking forward to it, my friend.
The last time I was with the Hoff, the last time I was in the presence of the Hoff was having a cigar at Barley House after
how times have changed.
The Browns clinched the playoffs Thursday night against the Jets, right? And then you left, I think, the next day.
Yes, that was a wonderful, delightful moment. I think I did the Westwood One radio, and then got a chance to share a cigar or two with you. That was awesome.
That feels like 7 years ago.
It was not that long ago.
No, it was not. It was not. All right, Hoff. See you next week.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. We'll do a little college football, Nate, coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. For nearly a century, Rumpke family has operated one of the nation's largest waste and recycling companies, providing top-level services for residential and commercial customers, rather. To learn how they can help
They can be customer customers.
They can be.
Why not?
They'd help you too.
Comfortable customer.
They'll help you too, even if you're customers. Meet your sustainability goals. Visit Rumpke.com to learn more. Official Bailey Zappi in, Deshaun Watson on injured reserve.
In addition, the Browns have waived linebacker Tony Fields from injured reserve. That's a little bit of a surprise. They've also re-signed running back Gary Brightwell to the practice squad and released tackle Sebastian Gutierrez from the practice squad.
There you go. All righty, time for a little segment we like to call College Football Nate.
But first,
do
you want to hear from Jarrah on Derrick Henry? Or do you want to wait for tomorrow on that?
Save it for tomorrow.
Save it for tomorrow.
That's like almost Ravens content.
Yeah, that could honestly be like a 10
actually,
minute
that is Ravens content.
Yeah, that's good.
Can I just say, and part of being college football Nate is I have no idea what's in this college football segment, but I want to bring a attention to my guy, the running back from Boise State. How do you pronounce? Is it Gianti?
Genty.
Ashton Genty. My guy.
Genty, yeah. Bootsy's playing a dynasty season with him right now.
He's probably having time of his life.
So
Travis Hunter was asked, all this talk about Genty being the Heisman Trophy winner, and said he did this.
Travis Hunter of Colorado, who's playing corner and receiver for them. Yeah,
said something that I thought was wild.
Go ahead.
Which was, but he's got 100 carries. Could you imagine how many yards I'd get if I had 100 catches? He said that.
Yeah, I know.
Which is apples to tacos. I mean, that's not even. Yeah. Duh.
Right.
The guy who's the best running back in the league will average 5 yards a carry.
Yes.
The worst receiver in the league will probably average.
Yeah.
I'm talking low catches, 9 yards a catch.
The quarterback got you the football, but he's trying to make a name for himself.
Well, they throw to him
all the time.
All the time. He sat out the second half of their game last week. They got a win. They're actually decent. They're like 4-2 or 5-2.
That on its own is fine. But then Genty was asked directly about the comment and gave the most classy answer, praised Hunter, said, I'm just doing the best that I can, but he's like, Hunter's a mega star and didn't take any of the bait. Total stud.
Yeah.
Love him.
And probably the reason, if they continue on their trajectory, why Genty will win the Heisman and Travis won't, because both could make the case. Genty's averaging 10 yards a carry, like it's stupid. And what Hunter's doing is crazy. There's a likability to it.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of likability with it's interesting, but with the Colorado side of it, where Genty handled it the way he handled it.
You talk about how quickly things change. Think about after 4 weeks or 5 weeks of the college football season in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most popular team. People couldn't get enough.
They still are. They still rate, but it's not like last year.
Listen, sometimes ratings. Howard Stern had a lot of listeners who didn't care for him.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Game
but
day
I'm saying
in Colorado,
they were
McAfee live in Colorado. The Rock was in
all
Colorado.
Of that. Yeah, because at that it was new, it was fresh.
He launched a
sunglasses. They're actually much better this year than they were. Way better this year than they were last year.
But last year, didn't they start off like 4-0 or something?
They did, and then it fell off a cliff. And this year they're like 4-2, 5-2. College football, Nate, is so locked in.
All right,
I kind of am.
Let's lock it in, Feinbaum.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's
Second
go,
most
Kev.
popular
Hit
sport
it.
in the country.
First down.
Fact or fiction? Did this past weekend's results in college football actually helped Ohio State?
Live edit out of Gibby. Good job to you.
Yeah, that's a fact. Teams dropping like flies. Absolutely. Listen, it really doesn't. The real answer is neither. They're getting into the playoff no matter what, and that's where they're going to make their
coming
head.
along. College football, Nate, is coming along. The reality is irrelevant. It really didn't matter. It doesn't.
I mean, it helps.
It doesn't do anything because they basically stayed right where they were in the polls. Georgia moved back ahead of them. Texas dropped behind them. So it really does. What happens in the SEC doesn't have too much impact on what's happening with Ohio State. Ohio State wins the Big Ten Conference, they will get a bye. If they lose another game, whether it's in 2 weeks at Happy Valley, if Indiana, the Michigan game, God forbid, or even the Oregon game, if they just lose one more, they're still probably hosting a playoff game. So they're in, they're good, handle their business, and really what happens down there won't affect them really at all.
Yeah.
Second down.
Second down.
Fact or fiction, Texas should roll with Arch Manning the rest of the way after their tough loss on Saturday night to Georgia. Nate Feinbaum.
If Arch Manning had come in and set the world ablaze, I think it's maybe a little bit more of a discussion. I don't think you're ready to make that switch yet. I think if they felt like Arch Manning gave them the best chance to win, he would have been playing right off the rip. And he came in and, correct me if I'm wrong, this is, again, loose. But when in the games that he started, when Ewers missed, it wasn't like
he had
flawless.
one lights out where he threw for like 506 touchdowns and ran. He's more athletic than Ewers.
Yeah.
He's more elusive in the pocket than Ewers. He actually has a stronger arm than Ewers. Ewers becomes check down Charlie in big games, which is kind of the criticism of him. I think they should. I think their ceiling's higher with him. I think there's something, and Quinn gets hurt a lot too, so there's that part of it.
He is Arch Manning.
But at the same time, I think he's too far down this road. What he did Saturday night, luckily Quinn played decent in the second half and got him back in the game, but to bench him in the biggest game of the year with Georgia burying you, they benched Quinn for the last two series of the first half. When he did it, I thought, well, God, there's no coming back from this.
It. Right, that's it.
And then he brought Quinn back out in the second half. You give him credit. They rallied behind him. But, man, that is a powder keg. They're very lucky that the Mannings are who the Mannings and that they're chill on all this stuff because it's a lot of yo-yoing that I think would be difficult.
Next.
Third down.
Fact or fiction, BYU will have a first-round bye in the college football playoff. I will say this. Heather Denich earlier today on ESPN.com has BYU as the number 4 seed in this year's college football playoff if it started today. Nate Feinbaum in the front row.
I don't know if you guys recall last week's segment, but I'm pretty sure it ended with me asking a question about BYU.
Yep.
And that is because you look at who they've got left on the schedule. I think Utah, Kansas. They don't get Iowa State, that's the other team, right? That would be the competitor,
yep.
But they don't match up the rest of the way. I don't see them losing a game. I don't know that they even have another tough game. Is Utah even ranked anymore?
No, they've had a bunch of injuries.
So I think
once their QB went out, that
Cam
team
Rising playing his
wayside,
7th year of college football went out again.
I think BYU's they've got to win the Big 12 championship, obviously, but I think they have a good chance to be undefeated and perhaps get a bye.
So the question really comes down to: do you think BYU beats Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game? And if you believe that they will, then they'll get the bye.
Yeah.
So it's
yes.
pretty direct for them. They look pretty.
CFN
complete.
says YES.
Yeah. College Football Nate says yeah. I don't. I keep reminding people of this. I don't think people realize it. It's not the top 4 teams. Like it's the top 4 conference champions. So it's going to be. The 1 seed will be the SEC title winner or undefeated Oregon if they were able to do it. The 2 seed would be the SEC or the Big 10, and the 3 and the 4 are going to be the ACC and the Big 12. Unless somebody can pop all the way up. Like theoretically a group of 5 could go all the way up. That's your Boise State conversation, which doesn't seem likely. But yeah, it's very much possible.
Next.
Fourth down.
Probably likely, honestly.
Which coach's seat is hotter, Brett Venables at Oklahoma or Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss? Nate Feinbaum.
Oklahoma. This is a disaster. This is an unmitigated disaster. You think about the Sooners. You think about who they were. You think about the prominence. They've got to be wondering, did they make a mistake? Are they out of their league right now? And the answer is they shouldn't be. But right now, it feels like Brett Venables is going to have to go, and they're going to have to spend big and bring in a program builder, Bo.
First of all, the seat on Kiffin is nothing.
Yeah,
it's not hot at all.
Didn't even resonate with me.
It's cool. It's Ole Miss. Like they've lost 2 games, but like they aren't Alabama. They're not that. The best way this would have been is this the G-man? Is he responsible for 4 downs, or is this you, Gibbe?
It was a team effort today.
Here's the way that this would have been the perfect way to do this because you could have had synergy. It would have been Lincoln Riley. If you could have gone Brent Venables or Lincoln Riley, because Riley was at Oklahoma, his seat actually is hot. They just lost to Maryland last week. That's a disaster for them in the Big Ten in their first year. then that's a really tough one. This one is definitely Venables. They just gave him a contract. They've got a lot of money. He also did something pretty wild. Jackson Arnold was a 5-star quarterback. He was set to play through 3 picks in the first half of the Tennessee game, and then they shut him down and played a true freshman. Then they burnt his red shirt last week and had him play, and now he's the starting quarterback the rest of the way. So it's a mess for them, much like it is for USC. So it's definitely Venables. Kiffin's hotty-toddy, good gosh almighty, having the time of his life. He's fine.
Oh, baby.
He may be the head coach at Florida by the time this is next year, and they may come after him. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And come out to Panini's in Brunswick this Thursday, 7 to 8, Kevin Stefanski Show. Stop by and meet DeJuan Jones. It's brought to you by Bud Light. Z will be there, baby.
Yeah, baby.
There you go.
Do it.
Next Level's coming up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You've been listening to...
You guys are down. Thank you so much.